So we're talking about the power of branding, okay? I'll tell you a story about when I was, this was Christmas. It was about maybe 8 years ago. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I had about maybe $200 to $250. And I was going out Christmas shopping. And that $250 was the money that I had to spend that day. And I wanted to maximize it. I wanted to use it to buy as much as I could Christmas-wise, presents for my wife and things like that. So remember, the story is about branding. So when I was going to be at the mall and I was going to be there all day, and I looked at my cash and I decided that I wanted to spend less than $5 on lunch. So in my mind, I mapped out the different places that I could eat, and I decided ahead of time that I was going to have McDonald's. At the time, McDonald's had the $2 cheeseburgers. You got $2 cheeseburgers, two cheeseburgers for $1. They may have even been double, but I think they were cheeseburgers. And you got a small Coke, and it was about $3.25 or so. But it was enough food to get you through, 4 or 5 hours. You didn't really need anything else. And I knew that. Now that's right there is the power of branding, because I calculated ahead of time from a place that I knew very well, that I'd gone to hundreds of times, and I knew exactly the consistency of what I was going to get and how it was going to, exactly how useful it was going to be. See, I didn't have any time to look around at other places, and I didn't want to think that way. I didn't want to check out other places, and, try this or try that. I just wanted something I knew would work and I knew would get the job done. So you go to a brand that you trust because you've tried it 100 times before. You know exactly what you're going to get. Now, McDonald's, it's not everybody's thing. Not everybody likes the McDonald's cheeseburgers. I happen to like them. But I knew exactly what I was going to get, exactly what I was going to pay, and there'd be no variation. To think of it a different way, if you're traveling, let's say you're going to a different city in the United States, and it's early in the morning and you're tired and you want coffee. Now, there might be a lot of coffee shops around. When I'm traveling, I almost routinely go to Starbucks. Why? Because I want to make sure I get exactly what I need. And I know the Starbucks coffee, and I know it's going to get the job done. And I've tried it so many times, and it's consistent. So I don't want to go to a mom and pop store and try something new, which may be fun in a different context. Now that right there is the power of branding. It's when you have come to rely on something to produce a result, and you rely on it consistently, and you know it's going to do that. I don't know if you've ever traveled in a foreign country, but you ever go to McDonald's in Paris, it's going to take exactly like a McDonald's in Yonkers. It's going to taste exactly like a McDonald's in Los Angeles. It's the same. It's standard. And that's sort of true of Starbucks too. If you like the Starbucks Grande, it's going to be relatively the same almost everywhere you go. So if you don't want to experiment, you just want to get something that's is going to do what you want it to do, you'll go to Starbucks. Now, eventually I'm going to tie this into the Republican Party, because I think it's a big problem for what has happened to them lately, is that they have lost their brand. They have lost the identity that would make you vote Republican. There's a lot of different ways to look at this, but I think it's one of the main problems. And as we continue on in this series, I will get into this more, and I will tie it in with the Republicans. So that is the power of branding. And as we continue on, I'm going to tie it into the Republican Party and how they have lost their way in terms of their brand identity. I remember one time a friend of mine said, a long time ago, George W. Bush, talking about George W. Bush, whatever you thought of him, he had a certain brand, and it was a solid brand identity. And that's one of the things that the Republican Party is struggling with nowadays, and we'll get into that more in a later time. Okay.